Today I'm going to show you how to make a lovely summer salad from some possessed vegetables. Just so you can see the subtle differences for yourselves, this is your average cucumber, and this is a cucumber I picked up the last time I crossed over into the fourth dimension of darkness. So let's prepare it for our salad. First you'll need to remove the thorns. I would recommend using a pair of pliers for this. You'll need to be very careful with the thorns as they contain a venom that can bring on a chesty cough and instant insanity. So next, create 2 incisions along the length of the vegetable, like so, and remove this segment and set it aside. You should now be able to see the spine running along the length of your cucumber. This should come out fairly easily with the help of a teaspoon handle or similar shaped object. This could be a nice little treat for your dog. Greens are good for you, Rover. Then simply cut up the cucumber and add it to your salad bowl. Next we have the gem lettuce, or
Rahun Anuta,
to give it its native name. Now be careful removing the outer leaves, as the teeth are sharp, very sharp. And once you've found the mouth, hold the lettuce upright and chop a gummy bear into it. As he eats it, the goodness in the gummy bear is going to neutralise that evil taste you'd otherwise be left with. Whilst he's occupied chewing, just go ahead and roughly chop him up. This can also then just be added to our bowl. Next, we have our peppers. I tend to opt for red peppers as I prefer the taste, and yellow peppers from this realm also tend to be full of human teeth. So take your red pepper and cut it open. As you can see, we're going to need to remove this pepper's heart of darkness. If you just go ahead and open up the rib cage with your fingers, and you can pull out the heart and set it aside. The rib cage can then be taken out as well, but I tend to leave them in to add to the overall crunch. You're cool. Now our salad is assembled, I would recommend dressing it in a vinaigrette with a holy water base, or at least get a priest to bless your balsamic. This really just helps to ensure that the salad won't try and possess you or come alive and eat your eyes. And lastly, sprinkle a few cubes of feta cheese over the top, and you're finished. A lovely summery salad made from... oh my god, it got me!
Hello there! Today, I'm going to show you how to make a twist on a traditional Christmas dinner. So I'm sure since the Galactic grouping, many of you now have off-world friends or even family, and I'm going to show you how to make a Christmas dinner that will make your extraterrestrial friends feel right at home. So let's start with the centerpiece of our roast. This flesh nut, which is from the flesh trees of planet Derma. I guess you could call this a nut roast. Except you probably shouldn't, because this is definitely not vegetarian. But it is from a tree? Anyway, we need the insides of the nut. So first, we have to open it. So start by pulling its lips back to reveal the teeth of the nut. What a lovely smile this nut has. You'll need a blunt instrument like the handle of a spoon to wedge between the teeth and lever open the jaw. Lovely. Now you need some good scissors to cut the tendrils and open the jaws properly. So here we have the insides of the nut, but this still isn't the part we want. We no longer need the outer shell anymore, so we can get rid of this. So get your hands in there and pull this bit out of the shell. So I guess you'd call this the seed or the stone of the nut, but we actually want what's inside this. However, at the moment, the insides are incredibly poisonous, so we need to neutralize the poison. It's quite simple to do this. You just pour in a small amount of watered down ketchup into the feeding hole, and then wait for the reaction to take place. So once it's finished bubbling, the inside should be safe to touch. And eat, I guess. So take your scissors again, and cut this outer skin all the way around, off of the flesh inside, and peel the skin away. So here at last, we have the inside part of the flesh nut that we actually eat. Look at all these tasty tendrils. So in terms of preparation, first, preheat your oven to 180 degrees fan. Then take a baking tray and oil it well, using olive or vegetable oil. Then lightly season your nut with salt and black pepper. And then, you're ready to pop it in the oven for an hour and a half. You'll know when it's done because when you stick a needle in it, it won't scream. So whilst that's cooking, let's prepare the rest of the roast. So take your potato, and we're looking for a very specific potato with a breather hole, like this one. So start to peel the skin off like you normally would, as what we're after is on the inside. And as you peel the potato away, you'll reveal exactly what we're looking for. Oh, lovely. There's a particular space parasite that lives inside an earth potato, and it tastes just delicious when roasted. Perfect. So pull this free of the potato, which you can now discard. Now it can't actually survive outside the potato, so we don't need to do anything further. We just sprinkle on some chili flakes and add it to another well-oiled baking tray. So these only take 40 minutes in the oven, so try and time it so they're ready for when the nut comes out. Also, make sure you get the 7-leg variety like this one, as apparently eating one with 8 legs will liquefy your bladder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So next, we have a rather interesting vegetable, which I like to call the human hand vegetable. It's actually a complete coincidence that it looks like a human hand, and aliens have been eating it for centuries before they even came into contact with a human. They actually call it a schlump. Anyway, turn it over and you'll see the part of the vegetable we want, this fleshy bulb, which we then tear out with our fingers. You can then discard this hand-shaped vegetable skin, as it isn't needed anymore. I like to nestle a piece of unpeeled garlic into the fleshy roots, as this adds a little bit of extra flavour. And just pop this on another well-oiled baking tray. And these only take 20 minutes at 180. And finally, we have the spore sprouts. So take one and peel off a few of the outer leaves. Then stand back. They will begin to scream, but be careful not to let them do it for too long, as they will release spores that will embed themselves in your eardrums. So to stop it screaming, you just... That's better. Now you just scoop them up and serve them raw. There's no need to cook these, and now just remove your protective earbuds. Oh no. So once everything is cooked, just carve up the insides of the flesh nut and serve. And there we have it, a plate of delicious roast flesh nut. It's about time to give this a little taste, I think. Lovely. Now all your alien friends will feel completely at home at Christmas. Hi, so today I'm going to show you a recipe for a delicious cake that has been possessed by multiple demons. And it's the perfect beginner's recipe to take that first step into the world of possessed baking. And it's a lovely light sponge that'll be the highlight of your next occult dinner party or summoning brunch. So let's start by gathering the first of our ingredients. And that's sugar, from the 4th dimension of darkness. So you need to carefully sneak in and steal yourself a bowl of sugar, without being noticed by the one who dwells inside. You mustn't let him see you. So now that we have our sugar, it's time to harvest our butter. So for that we'll need a possessed torso, like this one. So this torso contains a kind of shape-shifting demonic parasite within that we need to tempt out with a little heat. So we just take our heated up spool of copper wire and we use it to start the reaction. Here we go. Good. And this is exactly what we wanted. And in here is where we're going to find our butter. We just need to take off this little sack by giving it a quick twist and pull. And as you can see here, he's packed full of a delicious buttery excretion. And if we just give him a little bit of a squeeze, we can harvest this directly into our mixing bowl. Gorgeous. Now tip in our sugar and mix with a spoon until the butter and sugar are nice and creamy. So now it's time to add an egg. So let's take a separate bowl and our egg. So I've personally opted for an egg from Clergalash, the Inconceivable. But an egg from any of the ancient beings of terror will do just fine. Now we take our egg turns out these eggs are actually made of a centuries-old bone-like material, and as a result are quite hard to get into. So I'm going to have to gently and delicately open this egg using a large electric saw. Now we pour this into the bowl. Now it's best to use a separate bowl to the dry mix, because first we need to check the egg is okay before we use it. It has been sitting in an ancient subterranean hatchery for centuries after all. Oh look, still alive. In we go with you. So for the next ingredient, we need to do some summoning. So let's use some standard plain flour to mark out a summoning circle right here. And then add some candles. And then place this here. Oh, and a light dusting of flour so the demon doesn't stick on entry to our world. And now we have to recite the incantation, Conspersa Demonium et uva nos ad conquidem. I feel like the cup was a bit of a waste of time. Did put a cup out. Anyway, here we have 1 cup of lovely demonic flour, which we add as well, and mix it all together. And then just a teaspoon of baking powder. And it's probably better to get this from our reality. I found it tends to make the cakes rise a bit better than the alternatives I've tried anyway. Mix it in. So our final ingredient is going to require us to summon another different entity, the Devil's Udder, or Diabolo Summon. And this is going to require us to perform another little ritual. We add this into the mix too. Now give it a good final stir. What we're looking for is actually quite a thick batter texture like this. It should be quite active. So grease up a baking tray and pour the mixture into it. Then pop into a preheated oven at 180 degrees fan and leave for 25 minutes, by which time the mixture should have stopped trying to escape. You'll know when the cake is cooked, as the symbol of Clerg the Fetid One will have risen in the centre of the cake. And now just remove it from the baking tin and allow it to cool on a wire rack for 20 minutes. And now we're ready to try a slice. So here we are. Let's have a little try, shall we? It's moist.